Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar sponsored by the Nebraska Medical Association entitled MACRA 101, What You Need to Know from a Legal Perspective. My name is Megan Johnson. I'll be your moderator today. Before we begin, there are a few housekeeping instructions. First, there will be a question and answer session during the last 10 minutes of the program. You may submit a question using the chat box at the bottom of the control panel. And now I will introduce our speaker, Jill Jensen. Jill is an attorney with the law firm of Cline, Williams, Wright, Johnson, and Oldfather, LLP, and the firm's Lincoln Healthcare, Transactional, and Regulatory Law. Jill assists clients with their employment law questions and helps healthcare clients such as physicians, physician groups, hospitals, surgery centers, and other providers in healthcare transactions, contract preparation, and review. She advises clients about the Stark law and regulations, anti-fraud and abuse laws, HIPAA, HITECH, and other federal and state regulations concerning the healthcare industry. She often fields the day-to-day questions you send to us at the NMA, and she's the primary author among the Cline William attorneys lawyer column in the NMA's Nebraska Medicine magazine. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you, Megan. A few disclaimers before I begin. First, the information provided today is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to be legal advice. If you have questions about how MACRA affects your organization, direct contact your own legal counsel. And then next, what I want to say, when I say here today in any are mine alone. If there's any mistakes, they're mine alone. They are not the opinions of the Nebraska Medical Association or its members. And you may or may not agree with me, and that's fine. And just know that this is one lawyer's opinion, just one lawyer looking at what the law says. So before we begin, I'd like to see who is on the webcast with us today. And we have a couple, 3 poll questions that we'll go to right now. To do what best describes what you do. And those are coming in right now. Okay, thank you. And then the next one is what best describes your practice. I appreciate you answering these because it gives me an idea of who's on the line with us today. Okay, and then finally, last question here is, what do you know about MACRA? That's the third polling question. I just want to get a sense of, well, I was hoping somebody would answer that first question. I could pass off the microphone here, Megan, but I guess you're stuck with me. So let's move on. Thanks very much for answering those questions. What we're going to do today is I'll give you kind of a high-level basics one-on-one course on MACRA. It's not intended to be a deep drill down. Mainly, we just want to give you an introduction to it because I know there'll be lots of questions you'll have about it. I also want to talk about some MACRA survival strategies for you, and then at the end of the program, have some time to take your questions. MACRA refers to the Medicare Access and CHIP Reauthorization Act of 2015. It was a bipartisan law in which Congress basically put a stake through the Medicare Sustainable Growth Rate, the SGR, that used to need a regular fix by Congress. The SGR was replaced by MACRA, the statute, with a new program that's called the Quality Payment Program, or QPP. The statute also reauthorized the Children's Health Insurance Program, known as CHIP. And from the very beginning, and from both sides of the aisle, Congress intended to reform the physician payment system. This is an attempt to move us farther down the road to value-based payments under Medicare Part B, so that the payments that physicians receive are going to be in the future based more upon value and quality instead of just on a fee-for-service basis. Fee-for-service volume basis, I should say. MACRA also refers to that gigantic final rule with comment period was issued in mid-October, and it was finally published officially in the Federal Register on November 4th. The regulations that are being issued are not terribly long. They are by no means HIPAA long. However, when CMS published the proposed rule earlier this year, they received thousands of comments, 4,000 or so. And the bulk of the final rule is comprised of CMS responding to those comments, the questions and suggestions that people submitted based upon the proposed rule. And CMS takes time throughout that text to explain at length why it made the decisions it did and how it designed the quality payment program. The rule itself is highly complex. The final rule text, comments, and everything takes up about 824 pages in the Federal Register. Over 500 of those pages are the explanations and responses. There's just 24 pages of the regulatory text, so that's not so bad. And then there's also another 300 to 350 pages or so of responses that CMS had to comments concerning the various measures. So it's a big deal. It's a big rule. Comments can still be made until the 19th, and the rule itself will become effective on January 1 of 2017.
So Jill, how can physicians get ready for MACRA?
Well, I think the first thing, it's important not to be intimidated by it or by its size. It shows us that change is on the way. It's coming. It's been coming for quite some time. And I think we have to look at this as like trying to eat an elephant. You can only do that one bite at a time. So it's best just to take your time, go through it methodically, figure out how the rule fits for your particular practice. I think like HIPAA and ICD-10 and the other wade through in the past, the quality payment program is just an elephant du jour. But I give CMS a lot of credit this time around. Developing and rolling out a program like this is a huge job. Congress gave CMS a pretty strong mandate to focus on quality, cost containment, and the use of certified EHR technology in its past legacy programs. That's not different here either. But what CMS is trying to do is combine some of those programs to avoid redundancies. And I think it's clear that CMS has heard that it's physicians, many practices that just don't feel ready yet for value-based payment of any kind. And that it's going to be a big challenge for folks to understand what the program is about, what it requires, and then actually get to participate in it. But fortunately, CMS, because it has heard those comments, it's giving us a transition year in calendar year 2017. This transition year will continue for next year, plus probably 2018 as well. And during that time, and really since before and since the final rule was issued, CMS has been doing a lot of education. There's been many free webinars available through CMS. So they're trying to help us out here by giving us a break with the transition year. And the other part that you need to know too is something that's big is not completely baked through. It's not. There's a lot of elements to it that are not final. There will be more guidance coming, and throughout that final rule and the comments, it'll note that we're going to issue some regulatory guidance, which means watch that website for the quality payment program. because CMS intends to communicate what it's doing with the program. So today's December 15th. It's not time yet to hit the panic button, but the best thing I think you can do is listen and learn to this program and others so you can get up to speed on the quality payment program.
So, Jill, how does the final rule change how physicians are paid?
Well, basically, CMS sees the quality payment program as the future of our of Medicare and the healthcare payment system. The rewards for volume are fading away. Value are going to be the watchwords for the policymakers going forward. What the final rule does, it establishes the quality payment program aimed to really encourage physicians and other clinicians to get involved in alternative payment models, especially advanced alternative payment models. You think of the Medicare Shared Savings Program, or accountable care organizations, the medical home models, episode payment models, and so on. CMS believes that if more physicians and other clinicians get involved in these, what they call advanced APMs, advanced alternative payment models, or a merit-based incentive payment system known as MIPS, and the physicians get paid for quality and value, we're going to get closer to a healthcare system that's more patient-centered. And to CMS, that means they hope to be spending money in a smarter way, and we'll get better care and hopefully healthier people and communities. So what the Quality Payment Program, or QPP, does is it consolidates 3 current programs that CMS has going, including the Medicare EHR Incentive Program for eligible professionals, the Physician Quality Reporting System, or PQRS, and the Value-Based Payment Modifier programs. This is going to happen after calendar. However, parts of the EHR Incentive Program, PQRS, and the Value-Based Payment Modifier are going to be carried forward into the MIPS Merit-Based Incentive Payment Program. So a lot of what you're going to hear today, I think you'll find some familiar threads. The quality performance category is based upon the physician quality reporting system. The cost category has its origin from the value-based physician modifier program. Improvement activities, that's something new. It does not come from the legacy programs. The CMS wants to use improvement activities to help clinicians focus on benefit care, improving their experience in the practices. And that things that would be involved with that would include the time that is spent with patients, developing more practice efficiencies, and the like. The last category will be familiar for those that have been in the EHR incentive program. It's called Advancing Care Information Performance category. So it's not all new. QPP is not all new. There's some new and familiar aspects as well. The Quality Payment Program is designed to reward high-quality patient care through those 2 paths. The first path is through the Advanced Alternative Payment Models, also known as Advanced APMs. The second path is the Merit-Based Incentive Payment System, referred to commonly as MIPS, for eligible clinicians or groups, and this is all with respect to the Part B and physician payment fee schedule. So for people that are working with ACOs or alternative payment models, some of this isn't going to be new or strange either. Why should we bother? Why even bother with listening to this? Well, unfortunately, and more fortunately, MACRA is not likely to go away no matter who is in the White House. MACRA, the statute, was passed with bipartisan support, and our national debt is either at 20 trillion or darn close to it. So the need for containing cost in our healthcare system will continue and is not likely to go away. CMS will continue to work at that particular issue. The other thing that's important about MACRA now and kind of getting up to speed with the program is, and for payment year 2019, what's at stake is a 4% adjustment, either up or down, from what you would be paid normally from the physician fee schedule. For payment year 2019, what matters then is your performance year of 2017, next year. Likewise, for payment year 2020, when the adjustment is either up or down 5%, 2018 is your performance year. That's the year that you'll be gathering measures for that particular 2020 payment year. In 21, again, it's a 7% adjustment. And then all the way into payment year 2022, which seems strange to mention that year at this point, in 2016, and also in later years, the adjustment's going to be 9%. And that can be big numbers for physician practices. So what's an APM, alternative payment models? There's two types that are recognized under the MACRA final rule that will be on that first path, advanced APMs and other higher advanced APMs. To be considered an advanced APM, the APM must meet all of the three criteria that CMS has placed in the final rule. The first thing is the alternative payment model. All of the participants, or at least 50%, I think is the number, have to use certified EHR technology. The second criteria is that they have to provide for the payment within that APM based upon quality measures comparable to those that are in the MIPS program quality performance category. And then thirdly, the APM has to have its entities within the APM bear risk for monetary loss. It's more than nominal. So there haven't been any medical home models expanded up to this point, but they could become, once that occurs, an advanced APM. The advantages of being in an advanced APM is you can not only earn rewards for just your participation within the APM, rewards that are specific to that APM, but there's also a 5% lump sum incentive for participation in an advanced APM under the quality payment program. And as we go along, you'll also see that APM participants, whether it's in an advanced APM or just a regular APM that hasn't been certified as being advanced, you get some extra credit as you go along in MIPS. So moving towards alternative payment models, that's what CMS wants to see physicians and their practices going to. Okay. And this little slide gives a graphic illustration. If you're not in an APM, you're going to be subject to MIPS adjustments. If you are in an APM but not necessarily an advanced APM, there's specific rewards for that APM, but also you're subject to MIPS adjustments. But in the advanced APM, those that have the risk, that use certified EHR technology, and that are paid based upon quality measures like MIPS, there's not only those specific rewards for the APM itself, but also the possibility of a 5% lump sum bonus. The advanced APMs that CMS has approved for 2017 include the Medicare Shared Savings Program, Tracks 2 and 3, the Next Generation ACO model, Comprehensive Primary Care Plus, some two-sided risk arrangements where there's an upside and a downside in the comprehensive end-stage renal disease care model. There is a list of advanced APMs that is posted at the qpp.cms.gov website. and that will be updated as time goes on. As I understand it, although some of those models are closed right now, there may be an opportunity in the future for people that aren't in those models to be able to join up.
So Jill, can you tell us more about MIPS?
Well, MIPS is going to make payment adjustments to what otherwise would be paid under the physician fee schedule. The focus of MIPS is on quality. It uses evidence-based, specialty-specific standards and practice-based improvement activities. It also considers the cost of care and the use of certified electronic health record technology for interoperability and advanced quality objectives. What they've done here is they've tried to condense those prior legacy programs into one program that avoids redundancies and hopefully lightens the reporting load for clinicians. The first performance period opens January 1 of 2017. It will close at the end of the year. And during that 2017 performance year, practices eligible clinicians will record their quality data and how they use technology to support their practice. If an advanced APM fits within practice, then they can certainly participate in the quality payment program through an APM, advanced APM model.
Jill, who can participate in MIPS?
Well, to participate, you need to be an eligible clinician. And for this year, for the first and second year of the program, when MIPS applies, it will apply to physicians, which is the broad definition within physician assistants, nurse practitioners, clinical nurse specialists, and CRNAs, clinical registered nurse anesthetists. The term eligible clinician includes groups that are made up of those types of clinicians too. And that definition may change as time goes on. Recall I said this is a work in progress and there will be some tweaks made along the way. It's possible that audiologists may become eligible clinicians as well as physical therapists, for example. So stay tuned on that. As I said before, eligible clinicians are those physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, clinical nurse specialists, and CRNAs. There is such a category, though, for MIPS purposes called non-patient facing clinicians. And what this refers to is basically the historically hospital-based practices like radiology, pathology, and anesthesiology. For these folks to be MIPS eligible, they have to have 100 or fewer patient-facing encounters, including Medicare telehealth encounters. If the group itself is non-patient facing, it's not just an individual, 75% of the group's NPI's billing have to be within that individual category, 100 or fewer patient-facing encounters. As far as defining what a group for MIPS purposes is defined as a single tax ID number, or TIN, where there are 2 or more eligible clinicians, including at least one MIPS eligible clinician, as we'll discuss a little further. And this is based upon the clinician's individual NPI, and if these clinicians have reassigned their billing rights to the TIN. So, for example, you can have a group for MIPS purposes with a brand new enrollee, Medicare enrollee physician assistant, someone who's never been enrolled with Medicare before, who would otherwise be excluded from MIPS. That person could be within a group with a veteran physician, and because the physician is MIPS eligible, and provided they both reassign their billing rights to the group itself, the TIN, then that would be a group for MIPS purposes. And this is the case for that first performance period in calendar year 2017.
Jill, are there any types of clinicians that are excluded from this?
Well, there are some clinicians that are excluded from MIPS completely. Those exclusions really are found, they originate in the statute itself. So those that are determined to be, like I said, a newly enrolled clinician, someone who's never been in Medicare and never has billed Medicare, that would be an excluded clinician. Someone who's in a qualified advanced alternative payment model, or a partial qualified advanced payment model participants, those folks are excluded from MIPS. They aren't able to participate on that path. And then finally, it's clinicians that do not exceed the low volume threshold that CMS has established, meaning they have less than $30,000 of billed Medicare Part B allowed charges, or under 100 or less of Part B enrolled beneficiary count. So I'm not sure how many practitioners that will cover. It may be more than I think, but CMS believes that that low volume threshold will relieve to the smaller practices among us. Now, an eligible clinician who's excluded from MIPS can voluntarily report on applicable measures and on their activities. A MIPS adjustment won't apply to the non-MIPS eligible clinician for a year. Even if they voluntarily report measures, and so that rule gives people the flexibility to try out MIPS, to try their hand at information. It gives them a chance to get their feet wet. In addition, for qualified participants in an alternative payment model, or partial qualified participants in an alternative payment model, those folks that don't report data to MIPS, they're going to be excluded as well. But you know, if you're not sure about what whether your APM is certified or not, you may try your hand at MIPS and see if it fits for you. And before I go on that, as far as eligibility, CMS intends to provide notices in the first part of 2017 to let clinicians know where they fall within, whether they're within an exception to MIPS or not, whether they're new enrollees or whether they fit that low threshold for a dollar amount or number of beneficiaries, or whether they're considered to be significantly involved in an advanced APM. Okay, there's a poll question up here, and my question to you is, will most of your MIPS eligible clinicians in your practice, either individually or as a group, exceed the low? It looks like we had some on the yes side there. Is that right, Megan?
Yeah.
Wow. So even though CMS is trying to give us a break with that low volume threshold, I'm not sure how well that will work for folks in Nebraska. So how MIPS is supposed to work? Basically, they'll tell you in their webinars at CMS that you basically have 3 choices, but I think you really have 4. The problem is with the first one, where the little gravestone is, that's basically doing nothing. Submitting no data in 2017, and that's not a very good choice from my point of view. And CMS has told people for flexibility, you can pick your own pace on how you participate. They've tried to build in to the program as much flexibility as possible to help clinicians ease into value-based payment. Some people may be ready to go gangbusters and go right away into a full year of reporting. If so, that's great. But if you take that first choice and basically do nothing, what that guarantees you is that you will have in 2019 a negative 4% adjustment from the physician fee schedule. The next choice is what CMS calls the test pace. And in this category, just submitting a minimum amount of data for performance year 2017 will keep your practice in a neutral and not negative MIPS adjustment territory. So what's good about the test pace is it provides kind of a riskless way to test out your ability to submit information, to gather the information, and to report it. So if you submit an improvement activity, or maybe you submit a single measure of quality, or maybe you just do the base requirements of advancing care information, just doing that much, and not necessarily for a particular period of time, just that much will get you past the risk of having that negative adjustment in 2019. You should be aware, though, doing just the bare minimum in the test category won't necessarily get you a positive adjustment. Probably the most we can expect is to be neutral. The third choice is partial reporting, and that requires a practice to submit at least 90 days consecutive required measures. For example, 6 quality and 1 outcome measure would be an example. The last choice with the hardworking B is to read the last 2 choices, doing 90 consecutive days or doing the full year of reporting, will give you the most choice that you can have in terms of the types of measures that you can submit. It will probably also provide insurance for you that you're more likely than not going to get a positive adjustment on the physician fee schedule from physician fee schedule payments in 2019. So, if you want to participate more in the quality payment program, you can. If you've already been through PQRS and you've been successful in submitting your information, great. Doing more than just the minimum is a good idea. In fact, you can submit at least that minimum of 90 consecutive days to be neutral and possibly earn a small positive adjustment. So even if you're not ready on January 1 to start up with MIPS, you can start any time between January 1 and October 2 of 2017 data collection for the minimum 90-day consecutive period. Whenever you choose to start, though, the data will need to be submitted by March 31st of 2018. And what the CMS is telling us is if you submit a full year of data for 2017, we may earn a moderate positive payment adjustment on the physician fee schedule in 2019. The best way to earn the largest positive adjustment is to participate as fully in the program as you can by submitting the required MIPS performance categories. Positive adjustments, however, are based on performance data and the information submitted, not on the amount of information or how long you submitted. So even with 90 days of consecutive reporting, you can still get a positive adjustment. So if you feel comfortable, based on your experience with the prior programs, if you're set up to collect the data and do the reporting, by all means, go for it. And CMS expects that many clinicians will be able to successfully submit information to the quality payment program under MIPS. And doing that will help them have a better chance at a higher positive MIPS adjustment in 2019 and going forward. And then just to recap, the best way to get that highest positive adjustment, participate as much as you can. And if you exceed 70 points in all of the categories together, you can get additional incentives through a $500 million pool for exceptional performers. So, you know, being an overachiever is something that is a real positive, and you might want to give it consideration if you have the capability of doing that. But the key overall is to submit something. Don't do nothing. Avoid that negative 4% haircut in 2019. You can submit one quality measure or one improvement activity, and you can avoid that downward adjustment. My plea to you is they have designed this to be easy. They've designed the threshold to be low, to be having success in the first year. That is by design. And in my opinion, this is where my opinion comes in, I think it's silly to throw money away in 2019 just because you decided you didn't want to participate, even in the most minimal way.
Right.
Okay. Okay, we've got another poll question. This one is, which pace do you plan to pick in 2017? Well, there's a bunch that are right now going to go for it, go for the whole year. Some with at least 90. That's not unexpected. I think that's great. And if you can do a full year, by all means, go for it. Clinicians can either participate as individuals or as a group. So if you're not able to make individually the parameters for meeting a measure, you can do that as a group. The question that comes up sometimes is, what's the least amount I have to do to stay even? Submitting one quality measure, one improvement activity, or 4 to 5 of the advancing care information measures that you're required to do based upon the technology that you have. And as I said before, and I'm probably beating a dead horse here, doing any of those will save you from having that negative adjustment in 2019.
Jill, how does the scoring work?
Well, this next slide, whoops, we went past that. There we go. There we go. Okay, yep. This next slide shows the performance categories and how they're weighted. The quality performance category has the highest weight, 60% there. For the transition year in 2017, cost is not going to be something that you have to submit data on. Just by claims submission, CMS will be tracking that and will provide feedback to you. The area is weighted, that's that new area, and that's weighted at 15%. And then advancing care information has a weight of 25%. Let's go to the next one. There we go. So, and to start out with, at least for the 2019 payment year, and that means performance year 2017, quality is going to be worth 60% of your final score, and then that goes down for a 2018 payment year of 2020, it's weighted at 50%, and then that eventually goes down to 30%. To get the best shot for the minimum amount, minimum reporting of 90 consecutive days, you'll want to report up to, including an outcome measure, to meet the quality requirements. Now, some people may wonder, well, can I submit more? I certainly think you can. I think that provides a little bit of insurance in case there's some data errors or other problems in the data submission. So if you can submit more than those measures, more than 6, go for it. For groups that use the web interface, they can report 15 quality measures for the full year. Groups in alternative payment models, and that's not necessarily, of course, an advanced payment model, but if they're in an ACO or in some other type of alternative payment model, they get some special treatment under MIPS. For those types of groups, if they're already in some type of alternative payment model, they already will have met the quality measure for MIPS, because their quality measures will be reported through the APM. Okay. Cost, as I said, is going to be zero weighted, and that actually I think is a good thing, but you will get some feedback on that. You can expect after calendar year 2018, probably around June of 2018, you'll be getting feedback that will be provided to you about how you did, and that will give you an opportunity to also know whether or not there will be a payment adjustment in 2019. Okay. For improvement activities, as I said before, this category isn't a legacy program, and it's designed really to improve clinical practice and the clinical experience for Medicare beneficiaries. There are 90 activities within that category that you can look at and see if there's some things that you are already doing. It's on a wide range of topics like beneficiary engagement, care coordination, patient safety, practice assessment, among others. In all likelihood, many practices will already be doing many of those things. So for most clinicians, all they need to do is attest that they've completed up to 4 improvement activities for a minimum of 90 days. And doing so will get them past this particular check mark on the MIPS program. For small groups, and that's groups that have 15 or fewer eligible clinicians, or for groups that are rural or in a health professional shortage area, all they have to do is attest that they've completed up to 2 activities for that minimum of 90 days. People that are practitioners that are in certified patient-centered medical homes or in an APM that's designated as a medical home model, they automatically receive full credit under this category. For those that are in APMs, like the Shared Savings Program, Track 1 or 2, those automatically get points for meeting this criterion. Okay. For the Advancing Care Information category, remember this is what has succeeded the EHR incentive program or meaningful use. You're going there. What CMS will look at are 3 different areas. There's a base score, and those are the types of measures that they expect you to be doing out of the chute that everybody that has an electronic health record needs to be doing anyway. Then they'll also look at a performance score, and then finally the possibility of a bonus score. Okay, meeting the requirements here on this performance category, you fulfill the required measures over a consecutive period of 90 days. First of all, on the base score, getting that security risk analysis done that everybody should be doing anyway. Having e-prescribing, having patient access, providing summaries of care, and requesting the same. Those are generally the basics that have to be met for this performance category. Then also there's the performance aspect of advancing care information. You can submit up to 9 measures for a minimum of 90 days under this category, and then if you want to get bonus points, you can do public health reporting and reporting histories and so on. Using certified EHR technology is what CMS is trying to push all of us in the medical community to do. So the more that you're using a certified EHR technology, the better off you're going to be in meeting what's required here. Ways to submit data to CMS. For some that are individuals, I've basically taken this from a CMS webinar. There's a number of ways to submit quality information You can do that through a data registry or through your EHR. Advancing care information can be submitted through, again, a qualified clinical data registry or an EHR vendor. And for improvement activities, your EHR vendor can be one of your best friends in that. And this apparently is not unfamiliar, shouldn't be unfamiliar, based on legacy programs. This next slide is also from a CMS webinar and just gives an example of how one cardiologist could participate in MIPS. Not doing a full year by any means, but going through each of the categories on which you're going to be scored, namely quality, improvement activities, and advancing care information. This gives you an idea of what that might look like. There is maximum flexibility, though, and you can choose what measures you are going to report and how you're going to report those and how long you're going to report those. Okay, so what should you do next? The first question I think you need to ask yourself and your people in your practice is, are they eligible clinicians? Are there any exclusions that apply? Are we in an advanced alternative? Do we have anyone that's affected by the low volume threshold? And are there any newly enrolled people that have never billed Medicare before? You'll have to figure out what your pace is going to be. And that's, again, nothing something or 90 days or 90 days plus or a full year if you can manage it. The more you can submit, you'll provide yourself a little insurance and will give you practice for what the future will hold in doing further reporting. You'll want to determine then the measures that you're going to track within those 3 performance categories for 2017, activities and advancing care information, and then figuring out whether you're going to report as a group or as individuals. Another point that you'll need to think about is how are you going to submit your data? What vehicle will you use to do that, to get it to CMS? And then once you figure out those things, you need to make your plan and then get it into place and implement it. The data that you collect in 2017, as I said, is due by March 31st of 2018. And then once that is submitted, and probably by June of 2018, we'll be getting some feedback. And then we'll be having to get ready to do it all over again the next year. So where can I find the measures and where can I learn more? This website, qpp.cms.gov, should be a bookmarked website for you going forward. I give CMS a lot of credit. I think they've, compared to other big programs that they've rolled out, I think they've really made an effort to try to get information out to the public and to the healthcare community. So I think what I'd like to do is just give you a little brief tour of that right now. And Megan's helping me. Here is the landing page when you come to the qpp.cms.gov. And as you look through there, you are going to see that you can learn about the program and get some general information. You can explore the various measures, and there's also educational tools. Let's see. Okay, on the educational tools, if you are so inclined, and I do not recommend this, you can read all 824 pages of the Federal Register. And they have a link there for you. It's probably a better use of your time, though, to take a look at that executive summary that is there. And that will give you a higher level overview of what CMS is trying to accomplish in the rule. Additional resources, these little fact sheets, I don't think they have a lot substantively that's of interest. It gives you some general information. But then as you look a little further and dive deeper here, the website has a list of APMs, what the alternative payment models are. how they're designed, and so on. And then it also gives you some insights into the MIPS program, Merit-Based Incentive Program. There is a download. If you take a look at it, it shows that it was updated just yesterday. So I think if there's a way, I'm sure there probably is, to subscribe to qpp.cms.gov, it would be a good idea to do that so you can see any updates that do come down the road. And then looking over on the right-hand side, webinars and educational programs. Maybe you've already been getting the emails from various vendors like I have, where there's a cottage industry that's arising to educate people and help them deal with MIPS and the quality payment program in general. But before you buy something from one of those vendors, I really recommend that you take a good look at what CMS is providing for you for free on its that's linked to the webinar and educational programs. Maybe if you can click through that so we can show. They're having a webinar about every week, it seems like. And you can click on these links here for upcoming webinars and register. You can look at past presentations, take a look at slides, listen to recordings. I think they've done a good job, and they're trying to really get the word out to help people make the adjustment. And I see, Megan, that we are at 12:53. Let me just back up here. If we back up to the last slide, there we go. At qpp.cms.gov, you'll want to take a look at the page that has you explore measures. Can we go back to that, Megan? Mm-hmm. Sorry. Yep, the landing page. You see at the very top there, there's an Explore Measures. Click on that, and that will give you a very good overview of what's required in 2017. As you scroll down, you'll see, what is required there at a high level. It'll also give you some insights if there's any extra credit that you get or brownie points that you get if you happen to be in an APM. And then scrolling down a little farther to that green box where it says Explore Quality Measures, there is an interactive page where you can go through pages, I should say, for each of the performance categories where you can do searching for different types of measures. For example, let's take a look at the data submission method. And let's say that, let's go to the specialty measure set. Sorry about that. Let's just click on any of those. Radiology. When you do that, that brings up the specialty measure sets for that particular specialty. And by clicking on these different measures that you may, that will be added. Just hit add on the right hand side, and when you get through all of those that you want to start working on, at the end, before you leave this page, you'll want to download basically a spreadsheet file that can be used for your own use in planning your QPP program. So the main thing, though, is before you leave the page, after you've gone to each particular performance category, make sure you do that download. I don't believe it saves. At least that was my experience. But it's there. There's lots of good education there, lots of options, and it's well worth taking a look at. Go back to the slides. So use that website. I encourage people to explore it. And then finally, just as a plug, our firm's having a healthcare forum in Kearney on March 2nd. I'll be talking about MACRA, and I'll be interested to hear and see how it's going for a number of you. It's in the afternoon between 1 and 5 p.m. at the UNIS Conference Center. And if you would like to get an invitation to that, if you haven't already gotten a save the date, you can contact me at ClineWilliams.com. And I guess now we're open to questions and see if I can answer any of them here, Megan.
Let's see. Feel free to submit questions via the question box. Let's see. It looks like, Kathy, you have a question. I am unmuting you. Please go ahead.
What was your contact to get an invitation to that forum?
Well, for the forum, if you go to our website, www.ClineWilliams.com, you'll see that there's and go to my page. You'll be able to send me an email, and I'll get you an invite.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we have anyone else. Let's see, it looks like I have a question in the question box. It says, can any adjustments be made? Oh, that one's been answered already.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Feel free to type in the question box or raise your hand and I will unmute you if you have any questions or comments.
And if you think of something after the fact, I'm sure you can probably send Megan a message at NMA, and they can direct that to me for an offline response.
Okay.
I just want to thank you for your attention and time today. I hope this has been helpful. We are at the very beginning of this program. As I said, it's a work in progress. We'll need to stay tuned, keep apprised of the changes that CMS will be handing down. You know, work with each other, and I think we'll be able to get through this just like we've been able to get through the other big programs that CMS has pushed toward us. So with that, I thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a great afternoon.